Gotta stay central.
Good evening and welcome to Success in the City. I've lost it already. Okay, good evening and welcome to Success in the City. My name is Helen Webster and I am with the lovely
Sandra Scott, and our guest today is the extremely intelligent and knowledgeable.
I'm Wild Humphrey, the fact master. Thank you for that, Sandra. I never would have said that.
Oh, you are. Gosh, very clever indeed.
And I am super. So I've heard a lot about Wild Humphrey over the years and I'm dead excited. I was talking about you today with Des, our good friend Des Flanagan, and he was like, I've heard that. Who's on your show? So we're going to find out loads and loads about Wild Humphrey later on in the show. But first, we shout out to the kids. Any young people, any little ones who've done amazing things. So, San, any little people who've done amazing things this week?
I haven't been with any little ones this week so much. I did see my little, my cousin's boy, well, I call my nephew, it's my cousin's son. He had two boys at the weekend, which was lovely because I haven't seen James, I haven't seen them all summer really. So I saw James and Ethan, so that was lovely. And Ethan's hilarious. He's obsessed with dinosaurs and very, very entertaining. So shout out to those guys.
Amazing. Wild Humphrey, any young people?
Well, actually, yes. This week, on the 7th of September, my granddaughter was 1. 1-year-old Isabel. I haven't seen her because she lives in Dartford. But she was 1 on the 7th. And you know, the great thing is, she doesn't know this yet, but she will do. She shares a birthday with Queen Elizabeth I, born on the 15th of April. And that's a fact.
There you go.
Amazing.
Let's hope Isabel has a different character than Elizabeth I.
Oh, yes. That's all she does.
And I'm going to give a shout out to all of the young people who've gone back to school. So some had gone back to school last week, a few have gone back this week, and I've had a few conversations with lots of little people, and they're all loving the fact that they can all go to the playground together. Because they've been in bubbles, so it's been really tricky for them. But now they can, you know, and one of them said, we've been having our assemblies on Zoom in the classrooms, but next week we're all going in the hall. And I thought, isn't that amazing? You know, they're like only 7 and 8, these young people and little kids, and you just think, oh. So I'm amazed and I'm delighted that they're going to be back in school and mixing, and the senior schools can all walk around. They walk around one way and stuff, but they're going back to, so hopefully a little bit of a normality for them, and just well done to them all for being so resilient and super duper troopers. Yeah, brilliant. Well done to all the young people. So Jo Swinburne, who's a good friend of ours, and she says happy birthday. So happy birthday to Isabel. So success this week. What amazing thing has happened to you as a human being this week? San.
Well, quite a few things have happened really that have been quite good. Further adventures of my move. So I think I came on Wednesday. 75% unpacked now, which is brilliant. I've done, which is quite good because I was in box hell, wasn't I? So that's all right. We're all boxed off in the office as well, so that's good. And getting a couple of new clients really. So quite a few different things. Made a frittata yesterday, and when I was staying with John and Sean, he made this thing, and I was like, "What is it? It's lovely." And he went, "It's a frittata," he said, but in his Dallas accent, his Texas accent. But it was so lovely. So I made one yesterday, full of veg, everything, and then they're firm and you cut them in squares. So when Rowan come in last night from work late, there was something there with tin foil for him, and it's gorgeous cold as well. And he had that, so that was good. And I baked chocolate cupcakes with buttercream for the office tomorrow, gluten-free. Actually, I'm going to take that bacon tomorrow because for all that.
I know. Wild Humphrey, what amazing thing has happened to you this week?
Well, thank God that we can go out and see people, because I've been cold turkey. It feels like forever. So I can now get some bookings to go out and entertain and do what I should, but do what I was born to do in real life instead of on the old Zoom. It's been great, but the other one's greater. So roll on.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
And we officially opened our office on Monday, and we had our so we've got young adults working with us, and they've all been in, and we had an amazing session today with all of them in, and the way their brains work, different to ours, and we thought we'd covered loads of things, and we did a nice little brainstorming activity, and they were just coming up with great ideas that I hadn't even thought of, and I thought, the brains are just switched slightly different than ours, and they were just brilliant, and it was lovely because they all got on, and so we've got a nice little work family going on, so I'm delighted. And if anybody wants to come and see us, we're in the Baltic, and we've got a cool trendy office, and we've got quirky mad things like a vinyl only, so we're only playing vinyl, and some of them hadn't seen a record, so they'd seen a record player but had never actually put a record. So he's one of the lads, he's 22, his nan had one, but he was never allowed to use it. His nan always put the records on, and so it was like, so I was like, right, okay, this is how you put the records on. And then he was away then, and he was putting records on. And it's all of these little skills that we sort of, you're going to lose. And there's nothing like listening to the is the one before the songs, and then the songs come on. So, so it's amazing. And so anybody who comes as a visitor to our office can bring a vinyl to play, or if they haven't got one, then they can choose one of ours. And we've got a massive range of genres of music, haven't we? So it was a lovely day. I've had a boss day today. Yeah, I've had a boss day. So
sorry, I forgot to say, Helen, I did have a few more successes actually, because it has been a good week. I had several bunches of flowers and bottles of champagne, which were great because I moved house, and the champagne and the bottles kept arriving and the flowers kept arriving. So very, very grateful, from your good self and Phil as well. So thank you.
Amazing. Good. Brilliant. So Wild Humphrey is with us this evening. Jan Railton says hello, ladies, and to Wild Humphrey as well. So hello to Jan.
Hello, Jan.
For those who don't know Wild Humphrey, if you've got a particular date of the year from the 1st of January to the 31st of December, you don't need to put the year. If there's a date that you're listening in and you think, oh, what's that date? Give us an example of the date. Put it in the comments, and we'll throw it over to Wild Humphrey. So, Sandra, we're going to play this or that. Okay, so we're going to find out a little bit more about you. Okay, so I'm going to ask you and Sandra, and then Sandra's going to ask you and I, and it's just an easy this or that. Okay, so are you going first or second, Sandra?
First, I'm just making a note of the date Brian Quinn's asked for. Okay.
Right, okay. I'm going to go first. Okay, I'm going to ask Wild Humphrey first. Okay. Piano or guitar?
Piano. Yeah. I've always wanted to play the piano. As much as I love the guitar, I've always wanted to play. So that's the one. 88 keys on a piano, on a tinkly ivories.
Nice.
That's a fact.
Yay. Yeah. Go on, San, what would you have?
Piano. Piano. So I like listening to guitar music as well, particularly electric guitar and things like that, and rock and stuff. But if I had to pick one or the other forever and lose, it would be piano, hands down. There we go.
Exactly the same for me. I learned the piano when I was young, and so piano for me. But I like acoustic guitar, so I like nice little chilled acoustic guitar. Yeah. I prefer acoustic, and I quite like a bit of Spanish guitar and stuff like that. Okay, San, over to you to ask us.
Okay, so you've lived in quite a few places in Liverpool rather, and you live in Wirral now. So Liverpool or Wirral?
For me, personally, well, it's got to be. I'm sorry, Wirral, but it's still Liverpool. Born there, and it's always there. You can't. The greatest city in the world. So there we are. You can't get away from that. And you can take the boy out of Liverpool, but you can't take Liverpool out of the boy, and that's a fact.
Fair enough.
Amazing, yeah.
I know,
yeah. And I've never lived in the Wirral, but I've lived all around the UK, and massively 100% Liverpool. Liverpool's, it's just, yeah. What about you, San? Because you've lived in both.
Yes, I lived in both extensively, really, and I have lived in down south. I lived in London, didn't I, in Brighton, and I lived in France for a short stint when I was young. So Wirral is gorgeous because of the beaches, you know, and I really did love it there. And I know people say, oh, you've got Crosby Beach and Asia, but the beaches on Wirral are extensive. It goes right round and it's lovely for walks and things. But I do much prefer Liverpool because I know it's all man-made, the parks and everything, but I love that. And, you know, I went to Croxteth Park on Sunday and I've been once for a walk with you. And then when I was about 15, I did voluntary work and we took some kids to the farm. So we're going way back, early 80s. But it was so lovely. And we had a proper walk round and my son had never been before. And it was just gorgeous on Sunday. But I know all the parks in the south end, like Sefton, Princess Park and Calderstones.
Yeah.
It was just so nice. And I think we're so lucky as a city. It's so green and the buildings we've got are gorgeous as well. Even Prince Charles commented on the architecture. So there we go. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah. So Liverpool. Okay. Oceans or mountains? And I'm going to ask Sandra this time first.
Okay. I need clarification. Am I in the ocean and on a mountain, or am I looking at it from the shore?
And because I know that you're not a water baby, you're looking at it from a shore.
So I love a beach. Okay, and I have been to both the Atlantic and Pacific coasts, and I've put my foot in both. And it is lovely. And the Indian Ocean, you know, I have dipped my toes in quite a few oceans. I've been very, very fortunate. And I do love the oceans, but I love the beach. I also adore the mountains, though, because I like snow. And, you know, I worked as an au pair in the French Alps. So I love the Alps. I love mountains as well. And I'm fond of Wales. If I had to pick one or the other forever, well, if I could still have beaches with seas and lakes, that would be cool. But if I couldn't,
but you can't.
Okay, then it's beaches, hands down. Yeah.
Really?
I love the beach. I really love it. No shoes. I love the beach. Fantastic. Okay.
What about you, Wild Humphrey?
Well, I love them both. I mean, nature everywhere is just amazing. Let me see now. The highest mountain, Mount Everest, 29,029 feet tall. First climbed on the 29th of May, 1953. The Pacific Ocean, discovered by the Western world anyway, on the 26th of September, 1513. And the man who discovered it and named it after Spain ended up being executed by his father-in-law because of jealousy, nothing else. But if I have to choose between the two, because of the sheer changes and vastness and variation, I'm going to go with mountains. That's a fact.
Yeah. Yes. I'm going to go mountains as well.
Yeah.
Mountains 100, hands down mountains. Yeah. When you look at any landscape pictures or anything like that, and you look out and people have taken photographs and things, when you see like a mountain range, it's just it's unbelievable, isn't it? Okay, San.
Okay, hot chocolate with marshmallows or milkshake?
Ooh.
Me? You asking me?
Yeah, go on.
Milkshake. Now, I like mallows, but not too many.
Okay.
But I always love milkshake, as much as I can drink. So, yeah, milkshake's the winner there, hands down. Marshmallows for me, sometime of the year.
So it'd be hot chocolate for me, yeah. So I'm just going to say good evening to Gertie tonight, okay? And throw her a kiss. So Gertie's in. Yeah. What would you say, San? Hot chocolate or...
If I had to pick one or the other forever, it would be hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate, yeah, hands down.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And this is a bit of a tricky one for you, San, okay? So I'm going to ask Wild Humphrey this, okay? So we'll find out a lot more about what you actually do, but you're a performer, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So performing, working man's club or gala dinner?
Oh, that's different. That's cruel. Listen, they can both, right? Gala dinners turn into working men's clubs by 11 o'clock. So we'll go gala dinners because you get the best of both worlds. But I'll tell you, if you want to cut your teeth, there's nowhere better than a working man's club. Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Well, yeah, gala dinners, because that's what happens at the end of the night. Yeah.
That is so true. I've never thought of it like that, but that is so true.
Yeah,
that's
we all end up
unbelievable.
thinking the same.
Yeah. And Sandra, I was going to say, for going to an event.
Well, gala dinner, obviously, but I think your point's really good. You get fed at a gala dinner.
I get a good pint of working man's club.
I think I wouldn't know. I'm not a performer neither, obviously, but I think your point is really valid, Wild Humphrey, because the human condition is the human condition. It doesn't matter where you're from. Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, at the end of the night for each, there's no difference, none at all.
Do you know what? I've never thought of it like that. And I used to work pubs and clubs and things like that. Yeah. And that is just absolute genius. That's one of the greatest shouts ever. That.
Yeah, and just to say an analogy of that, because people are so judgmental, aren't they? And sometimes the press are kind about events like Aintree, etc. Actually, absolutely. You can see the same at Royal Ascot.
Yeah, 100%.
Everywhere, any event, anywhere, ever. Because we're all people and we love a great time.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay, well, that leads on to the next question then, because I'm on a theme. Okay, champagne or beer? That's for you first, Wild Humphrey.
Oh, that's that. I'm going to go beer. I'm still sticking with beer. I love champagne, but not too often. And I'd never want too much of it to get fed up with it.
Oh, nice.
When you've had one of those nights and you're ill the next morning, I'd never want it to be because of champagne.
Oh, if only I could say that.
That's the way I put it. Beer, nice and easy. Good one now, actually. But I'll stick with beer. Although
I think I love champagne. And when I was younger, I just wanted to go out and drink champagne all the time wherever I went because I just love it that much. But I think you're right. I think and a beer, like, if you're on the beach or you're by the pool or it's a roasting hot day, nothing quench your thirst, does it, like a beer? And meeting your mates and having a beer, that's nice. So I think I'd have to go beer. What about you, San?
I don't drink beer.
I know.
Maybe half a glass of shandy in the summertime. On a really hot day, if you sat out on a picnic bench for lunch or something like that. I'm just not a beer drinker at all. It doesn't agree with me or anything. But I just feel full straight away from it. If I have two halves of lager, I'd be well away.
I know. And do you know what? You can buy gluten-free beer now. So maybe we try the gluten-free lager.
That's all right, because I'll just have the champagne. So that's where don't worry yourself with that, Ellen. So champagne definitely for me, wherever possible.
Yeah. And Brian Quinn's listening and he says evening goal. Sorry. Go on, Wild Humphrey.
When I'm working and entertaining and on stage and live, I don't touch either. It's water. That's it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I never used to drink when I worked behind the bar because you could never throw anyone out for being drunk if you were drunk yourself.
That's very professional, Helen.
And you have to have your wits about you as well.
So we're waiting on dates coming through now and you'll see how this works. Sorry, we should do a formal introduction, shouldn't we? It's because I'm really excited because I think it's brilliant. Go on then, you fire away.
So I was going to say that we know more about Wild Humphrey now. Have you done your last? Yeah, you've done. So we've done all this, all that. Okay. And we know a little bit more about you. But now we're going to find out loads about you. Okay. And who you are and how you came to do what you do. And I'm going to pass Sandra over to introduce you because she knows this is the first time that we've met tonight, even though I have heard all of the wonderful things about you. So I'm going to pass it over to Sandra and she's going to introduce you. And then we'll just butt in with questions as we go along.
Okay, cool. So as we all know, this show celebrates people from the Merseyside region, the full 5 boroughs, who have done something great, who've done something good in the lockdown period over the last while, because we were getting a lot of negative press. And every week we've got all these people who just do great stuff constantly. So I've known Wild Humphrey for a while now, and he's done loads of interesting events, but he's also done a lot for charity as well, which I want him to talk about. And there's a specific thing he helped through myself, and he's written a book as well. So one of the most knowledgeable people I know, and I don't know how you do it, I really don't. people say to, I'm multilingual, and people say to me, how do you remember the words and stuff? Well, words are easy. Facts and dates are horrendous for me. And what you can do, which people are going to see in a minute, is tremendous. So our guest this evening is Wild Humphrey, and welcome. We're delighted you're here.
I'm delighted to be here, believe me.
So tell people, for those who don't know you, what you actually do, what your job is.
Right, I'm an entertainer. I'm a writer. I write for the Liverpool Echo on a weekly basis. I had a book published this year called Wild About Facts.
Show us the cover.
There she is, right there.
Wow.
Wild
Amazing.
Facts. Okay.
Wild About Facts.
Yeah. 9781913151 is my ISBN number.
There you
I've
go.
always wanted another number, so I should learn it. Yeah, it was. But what I've always been fascinated all my life, since a child, about iconic events, iconic people, things that have happened in the world that have changed everything and brought us to where we are now, whatever they might be. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are great, some of them are funny. They just are what they are, but they're factuals, I call them, and I live my life by them. And I've always kind of been able to learn anything I've wanted to learn. So one day I thought to myself, as a child, what can I do now? I wonder if I can do the alphabet backwards. You know, it's one of those things, isn't it? People can do it. And I thought about it for a while. Then I went ZYXWVUTSRQPONM LKJIHGFEDCBA. There's only 26 letters. And I was thinking to myself, you can remember one, you can remember two. And if you can do two, you can do three, and so on. And that's how I do it. So with that, I learned I could do like 90 odd years of Grand National winners.
No.
Yeah. I stopped at about 95 years because I got a bit bored. But I'd always love to find out what happened when was the first thing, when did this happen first? Like the first Grand National, Tuesday, 26th of February, 1839, the winner was lottery. And I like to know the extra little bit. Lots of people know it's 18th. I think, well, when in that year? On what day was it? You know, so find that a little bit extra, and it's easy to remember when you've got the main thrust of it. You know, you then get the rest. And then one day I thought, I'll learn all the presidents' names. And before that, it was the British monarchy. So there's been 55 British monarchs, if you include the Cromwells, the Lord Protectors. So I can name all them. And then not just naming them, but talking quite a bit about them, whichever, because everyone seems to have, or many people have like a favourite king or queen. And there's always the standout ones, you know. So I've learned all about these people because the things they did changed the course of history and brought us to where we are now. And I thought one day I'll learn all the states. So I learned all the states and that kind of thing. And then I realised that I could actually remember what happened on different days. I could always remember people's birthdays and all that kind of thing. And I thought, I wonder how many days in the year I could talk about from memory. I thought, I wonder if I can do a month, you know. So I just flicked a coin and picked April. And I was telling myself, I was telling a friend of mine, something for every day in April. And they were Googling it. And I realized at that point that I'm faster than Google. And I went on the one show a couple of years ago and proved it. So that was great. Because I'm only am I faster than Google, I'm older than Google as well. You know, it didn't exist before the 4th of September, 98. So I actually wrote about it last week. And it should, Google, it's one of those things we all use, we all take for granted. And I was thinking, well, it was founded on the 4th of September, 98. But it wasn't called Google then. It was called Backrub, which is just a computer term. But when they realized how big it was going to be, they wanted a name that meant vastness. So they said, we'll call ourselves Google. And it should have been Google. But whoever did the typing and sent the memo out, or the email to the few, never heard of a Google. So they just put Google and off it went. And by the time they realized, it was too late. So Google is a typo. It should have been Google. That's a fact. You know? And now they celebrate the birthday September 27th, because that's when they changed it to Google. And it's that kind of thing. And when I realized I could do a month, I thought, I wonder if I can do a year. And then I just started on the journey. And then I realized, Christ, I can do 366 days. And more than one thing for most days. Some days
I was going to say, because I attended an event that you did for Whittle Society for Blind and Partially Sighted a few years ago.
You did, yeah.
And some people had the same birthdays, and you gave different facts. Or, you know, you were asking people birthdays or dates that were significant, and you were just reading them off like that, you see. And several different facts for people who had the same date. So it's not learning 365 things, you've learned thousands, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And I think it's important not just to learn one, because we can all kind of learn something and then recite it. And by the way, you know, I'm fascinated with the languages. What you do, just incredible. You know, you say about me, it's because you do it. What I do, I don't think too much of, because I can do it. What you do is just absolutely fascinating to me, and that's a fact. So, yeah. So I gradually could do every day in different things, and then when I learned about, say, all the kings and queens, I thought, well, Henry VIII's famous. So when was he born? Oh, 28th of June, 1491. When did he become king? 21st of April, 1509, lived till 28th of January, 1547. And what was significant about that? His father was born on the 28th of January, 1457, the day that Henry VIII died. So it's all. And
so was my big brother.
Was he? Well, there you go. He shares it.
There you go.
He shares it with Henry VII, and that's a fact.
Wild Humphrey, did Shakespeare? Was he born? Did he born and died on the same?
Well, they say he was. 23rd of April, 1564 to the 23rd of April, 1616, in Stratford upon Avon, of course. And they do believe it was the same day. They haven't got 100% proof, but because of his day he was baptized, they believe that's when it was. So I tend to just go with it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Brian Quinn gave us the date, so we've saying to people, put in the comments if you want. Yeah. You have to go in the comments on Success in the City, though, because I know some people are following it on different pages for us to see it at the moment. And Brian Quinn had put 14th of the 10th. That was the date.
14th of October.
Yeah.
Well, the 14th of October, the most famous thing of all about that day happened in 1066 at the Battle of Hastings. That's when it took place. And this was between England's Harold II and his forces and William of Normandy. And the battle is one of the longest battles. It lasted 8.5 hours. And then Harold got the arrow in the eye. Yeah. Obviously he was killed. And on the battlefield, they couldn't work out for sure who Harold II was, which was his body. So what they did, they got this lady, his mistress, and her name was Edith Swanneck. And they said, right, Edith, if you want to live, you're going to tell us which one of these bodies is Harold II. So she pointed them out, and it was confirmed. And William the Conqueror became King of England that day. And he was crowned at his coronation that same year on Christmas Day. That's a fact.
Amazing.
And the first time man flew faster than the speed of sound was 14th of October, 1947. That's a fact.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
So, how do you? Where do the facts come from? How do you find these facts? Do you research in books, or do you actually Google?
What I do, I've sort of gathered them over the years. From childhood, I've been fascinated by all these events. I mean, everyone's heard the Battle of Hastings. People hear of Lord Lucan, and you think, oh, yeah, you know, November the 7th, 1974, Lord Lucan disappeared. You know, the following year, they declared him dead, never found him again. So all these events that have happened in my life, I thought, God, that's really like when England won the World Cup. I was like, a little toddler. But forever, England thought, oh, when was that? 30th of July, 1966. But what's fascinating about that? They won on the 30th of July, 1966, as the home nation. They were 1-0 down and they won 4-2. The very first World Cup England weren't involved in, and Uruguay won that. They were the home nation. They got to the final. They were 1-0 down and they won 4-2 on the 30th of July. Exactly the same as England. And that's a fact.
Wow.
Brilliant.
See? And I always look for these things that link things together, because they're always there. Always. You just got to find them. And I don't give up. I know there's some link here. There's something.
Yeah.
As really important as that, as astounding. There's nothing. They say don't think fact is much stranger than fiction. Well, you just can't make it up. So that's what fascinates me. So I try never to watch anything fiction on TV. Always fiction, always facts.
Oh, so you must
do it. Sorry, I just realised as a youngster, I sort of passed my exams and stuff from 11 plus and all that. And I didn't find it too difficult. No. And whenever I needed to, I sort of got me out the mire. I thought, yeah, that's all right. And it's fabulous. It's wonderful, we know. Being the centre of attention, doing something different than others. And I've always believed all of us can do something that others don't, or do something better than others, But everyone's got their own thing, and this is mine. And I never actually believed it. It was other people told me.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just what I do. You do what you do. And I would say, look, and one thing I've got to always stress, nobody in the world knows everything.
No.
All the stuff I might know, there's plenty that I don't. Plenty. And it's great to learn. So I don't really mind if it's something I don't know. I think, well, if I don't know. But I can find out about it. I'll learn it and then I'll love it. Embrace it and then I keep going. So the best thing is being the learning. I mean, I hated school. I hated school. I bunked off as often as I could. Left at the first opportunity. Started to work. And I sort of self-taught after all that. But it's always through reading books. One thing I don't generally do is watch TV, documentaries, because often they're wrong. Often they give the wrong information on a drive.
And does that do your head in? Yeah.
Oh, it does, yeah. So immediately I go for the off button, turn it over, put Netflix on, and I've had enough of that. They get it wrong. There was something on recently about Edward the Black Prince, and it was during the Wars of the 100 Years' War. And I thought, well, it might be, I'll watch this. He was the son of Edward III. And he's one of these people in life who you really got to know something about. And he fought at the Battle of Poitiers at the age of 26. And he led an army against the French. And he destroyed King John. Against all the odds, he was like outnumbered 4-1 at least. But he was his true father's son. And he won this battle. And it took place on Monday, the 19th of September. 1356, and that's when it happened. And this documentary gave another date. Well, I was up in arms.
You had fall off. Yeah.
So off it went.
That's like me with subtitles, and anyone who speaks languages, when they watch a film, they go, that isn't what they said. And you can say, well, they translate it a different way to convey meaning, so you get a bit of artistic license, especially with and stuff. Nuts as soon as you learn a language. And I always tell people to watch foreign films to help them, but it is really frustrating when they do that. But
I know that feeling.
I've got a question about your book. So had you always wanted to write a book, or did you just decide to do it in the lockdown?
Well, the lockdown, I decided before lockdown, and I'd started writing, not with the full intention of writing a book, just to see where it took me. And the first manuscripts I wrote, I look back on them now, they were terrible, too wordy, and I changed them all, but then during lockdown, of course, I was able to accelerate that writing. And I've actually written enough for almost 2 books.
Wow.
And I sort of looked back on it all and I thought, I'm going to write to some publishers, tell them who I am, and send them a sample of what I've written. And so I sent it to about 10 publishers in the UK. Then, like the next day, I heard from a publisher saying, "Oh, I like the look of this. Have you got any more facts?" I said, "Oh, a few thousand, you know." "How many do you want?" He said, "No." So I had a bit of work to do to actually finish the book proper then, because I had to reread everything I'd written sort of a year ago and bring it into, because your style changes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Over time, your style changes incredibly. So everything I'd written like a year earlier didn't flow. I hated it. I had to redo all of that. And then I sent him the manuscript, and the 20th of April this year, it was published. And the funny thing was, I didn't know. Yeah,
you didn't know?
No, he didn't tell me it was published. I found out on the 25th. And because the first thing he phoned me on the Sunday, it was the 25th. And he says, "Oh, your book's been published.
Wow.
It's been picked up by Amazon. We published it. It's on sale and people are ordering it."
Brilliant.
He said, "But it's on sale in America." Because that's where Amazon are based, and it was they picked it up.
Okay.
So I said, "Oh, great." So he said it was actually published 20th of September. I said, "Oh, that was Hitler's birthday. Why does he have to do it then?" That was my first thought. I thought 1889, 20th of April, Hitler was born, and he does get a mention, but not in a good way, you know. So because I thought, oh, 25th of April, great. King Edward II was born 25th of April. I'll take that. Yeah, that's okay.
My lad's birthday is 25th of April, and I've always said, you share Hitler's birthday. I share a birthday with Roald Dahl, which I'm really happy about.
Oh, good.
Yeah, great. So
can I just ask, where did Wild Humphrey come from?
Oh, you most certainly can.
How did you get the name, and how did you first become a performer?
Well, I performed as a child. We used to do these. Well, actually, I've forgotten. We used to do these memory things in Sunday school. I used to have to recite the books of the Bible, and each Sunday, someone would get up and you had to say as many as you could. And I was the first one to get all 66 books, 39 in the Old Testament, 27 in the New. You know, that's when it comes. And then my mother was always, you know, you're going to be I was a tap dancer. So I went to these tap dancing lessons as a child, put all these shows on, did the, Liverpool Town Hall, Bootle Town Hall, all these places for the Lord Mayor and everything. You know, it was great, but I didn't know how important it was. Because when you're a youngster and you're a lad in Liverpool in the 70s and you got all these things, you don't want to tap dance, you know, you don't. So, I tell people now I don't mind, but then, and I can still do the time step and everything, you know.
Can you? Well, I can.
Yeah. Oh, good. And I got all these honours on my certificates and everything. And I wasn't even trying to hate it. Yeah. So I knew I loved it, and it's great being in there in the middle of everything, and people are like, if someone applauds you, it's just the most amazing thing. It's just incredible. People do that, you know. It's an honour. That's a great honour, and anyone who forgets that shouldn't be in entertainment business, because it's so important. You know, you're there to do and it's your job, and if you love it as well, it's amazing. So I do love that, absolutely I do. I have no qualms about it. It's a great thing, and when it's something a bit different as well, I'm like the magician without the illusion. I use cards, Evan, but my cards just have numbers on.
Okay.
I use them. And all the little props, you know, props bring people in, because people don't. If there's a huge audience, many people don't like to speak. But they just, you know, just one of them. So I'll just say, "Oh, give us a number 1 to 12," and they'll go. Then that's easy, you know. And then I'll go from there. Yeah. And I'll say, "Pick a card," and they'll do it. So And all of a sudden, you've got a different person sitting in front of you, or that, you know, and they feel, oh, it chose me. I know when I was a child, I got chosen, oh, I've been chosen, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's wonderful.
So,
hard work, you know.
Sorry, hard work, yeah. So hang on a minute. Where did Wild Humphrey come from?
Wild Humphrey was an ancestor of mine.
Oh.
He was known as Humphrey the Wild. His name was Wild Humphrey Kynaston. He was actually the son of the High Sheriff of Powys. But he fell out with his father. His father cut him off from any monies, so he became a highwayman in Shropshire. And he lived in a cave in a place called Nestcliff. And he lived in this cave from 1491 to 1535-ish, because he actually got pardoned by Henry VIII. He murdered someone, you know, like they did in those days.
Yeah, stand and deliver. Yeah,
that's it. And he literally did steal from the rich and give to the poor. And there's a pub we used to frequent called the Three Pigeons, and it's still there. And I've been there, and I've been in, I've entertained there, and I've been to the cave in which he lived. And I had to climb up all these rocks, which was easy until I had to come back down, and I was terrified. Now, he had a horse called Beelzebub, and this thing was the devil that could fly, they said, never, but he never got caught. He was on the run from Henry VII. He helped Henry VIII fight in France, took 100 men over there with him. So Henry VIII gave him a pardon, and I've got a copy of the pardon.
Oh my word.
Yeah, I've got a copy of it. So I didn't find all this out. My twin sister found this out, and my brother took it further, and they eventually did it all, and I went, oh. So that's why I went to the cave, just to see it for myself. And you go in there in the pub, and there's all this stuff about Wild Humphrey Kynaston. And then I started to write and everything, and people said, you can't use your own name. Obviously, my own name's Gary Kemp. You can't use that. And my brother says to me, you should call yourself Humphrey. I said, I'll call myself Wild Humphrey. And it's like 8 years ago. So it just stuck, and more people know me as that now than anything.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's wonderful, but the great story behind it is an actual factual, which is the most wonderful thing of all.
But it's a cool story as well, isn't it? It's not like, oh, you know, me mate's dog was called this. It's, you know what I mean? It's got like a proper, like, really good story, backstory to it.
It's a great story. Yeah, I wouldn't know what to call myself otherwise, you know.
So, Joe Galbraith has put, Daniel would love that book. He keeps us on our toes with his facts, which may or not be true, but they're always interesting. So can people, if they want to buy the book, do they just get it on Amazon?
Yeah, Amazon's the fastest way. They'll deliver it tomorrow or the same day.
Okay, so we'll put the link on after the show. Okay, we'll put the link on if people want to order the book. Is it sold at any independent bookshops locally? Because we try to support them where we can.
I've been into local independents, and it's funny what they do. They'll stock your book, but they won't order it. They might order one. And even if you do a book signing, I went into Lingham's in Heswell. It was pretty well known, Lingham's.
Yeah, of course it is.
You know, I took a copy in and everything else. And he said, well, listen, we did a book signing a couple of weeks ago. We sold 2 books. The last one, whenever, we sold 3. We never, so we'll if you buy the books, bring them in, we'll buy them from you, we'll discount them, and anybody will sell one sale return. I was right old faff, and I thought, that doesn't matter. So I didn't do it. It was just too much, and so they only ever buy ones of books, and because they can now get them online, you can go in and order from any bookshop, and they say, "Oh, it'll be 10 days." I'm like, Jesus, you know. So I had to go to my publisher, you know, and he said, "Look, that's the way of the world. You're an unknown author at the moment until you J.K. Rowling."
At the moment, we're going with Wild Humphrey. At the moment, soon you'll be. They'll be ringing you saying, "Come and do." They'll be ringing you saying, "Can you come and do a book signing in our place?" You'll be like, "Oh no, I can't." Thanks. I'm going to be in New York.
Yeah. I will be doing a book signing in Waterstones in the new year.
Oh.
They plan them in well in advance, and of course they've not been able to do any for ages.
Yeah.
So I'm in the middle of sort of speaking to them, but it's going to be a bit off, possibly before Easter. I'm hoping.
Because I was just thinking to myself, it'd be a great Christmas present, wouldn't it? You know, where it's like odd facts and things like that. You know, so as a Christmas present, I know, I'm just saying.
Yes, that's a fact.
But as a Christmas present, you know, that's a fact. I'm going to go with that one. And lots of people do, you know, interesting things and stuff like that. So, where was the very first place that you performed? Like, you know, as sort of as a professional you are now.
The very first one I did was at Formby Golf Club.
Yeah.
For a charity event. And it's about, I don't know, 8 years ago or so. And a guy phoned me up and says, listen, I'm doing a charity event. Blah, blah, blah. You know, will you come along and help us? I went, sure, what's something to do? I says, you know, I want you to meet. And I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, okay. And I went along. I got a free game of golf and a meal. That's plenty. Nice. That's fine. Great. Doing this, you know, I told you I put a 2 stone on. You get meals all the time. Honestly. So I went along. I had this room of about, I don't know, 200 and something people, all gala, you know, ready to go to the working man's club later on. and this guy stood up, announced me to the room, and he said, give him a day's gone. We can't tell you, I'll give you a $5, you know. I'm like, what, take it easy, but. And it was wonderful. It was just amazing. I raised, I just went round the tables with a pint glass and raised £174 in about 45 minutes. People just put, you know, I said, put whatever you want. Doesn't matter if it's a penny, whatever it does actually. Look, whatever you want, whatever it's worth to you, throw it in there. And there'd be kind of 6 to 8 people on a table, so they'd all give me different ones. Very similar to what you saw me do, only that was the first one. But the funny thing was, I wasn't nervous in the least. It was so enjoyable. It was just amazing. Loved it. So I thought, this is it. I'm going to do more of this. And when it's worthwhile as well, you know, there's some really good beneficiary at the end of it. It's even better.
Of course it is, yeah.
Very kind. We had a lady who died of cancer in when I was working over the water and business with family, and you know, she had children, left her kids and everything, and you know, money was an issue, and her colleagues did extensive fundraising for all the ladies at home instead, and you very kindly compared the event as a favour, didn't you? As a foot, and everyone, and I sorted it up. People said to me, Sandra, do you know anyone? And I said, I do. And I recommend, and you came forward and said straight away, I'll help, which I was delighted about. And that's the power of social media. And the thank yous I got off them all saying to me, oh, he was amazing. Thank you so much. And because you didn't just do your thing, you compared the whole event, didn't you? Yeah. So it was wonderful. They raised an awful lot of money for this lady, so it was wonderful. So thank you.
It was a great night. Yeah. Now that you could have called a gala, and you know, you could have called that was both, but it was wonderful, and it was a good laugh. But the most important thing, now the word fun is the beginning of the word funeral, as you know. But you got to put fun into everything. All the time. It's just the best way to be, and if people are happy, even at that moment in time in the middle of a bloody crisis, it's just a little step away, and that they remember. And I certainly enjoyed it, you know.
So Helen, give him a date, because you have
okay. So I know. The 21st of December.
21st December. Well, the first ever movie cartoon was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Bashful, Doc Dopey, Happy, Grumpy, Sleepy and Sneezy. Choose whichever one you want to be. It was released 1937, December 21st. That's a fact. Yeah. And funny, it's a king's birthday today. We're still on the 8th of September, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 8th of
Richard
September.
Lionheart was born on the 8th of September, 1157. He was the son of Henry II and Eleanor of Aquitaine. And his brother was King John. Now, King John gets bad press, but what King John did, he designed the first 7 streets of Liverpool, and they're still there today. That's a fact. Yeah. Yeah. So good on King John. But Richard the Lionheart was barely ever in England. Barely ever. And he got kidnapped in 1190 on the 21st of December in Austria. That's a fact. And he was there under kidnap for over a year. And to get him back, it was the first time ever they paid a king's ransom.
Oh, very interesting, isn't it?
It's amazing, isn't it? I think so. Jo Galbraith, who's so she's from Autism in Motion, and it's she's listening, and it was her son, and she was saying Daniel. So her son Daniel's autistic, and he comes out with facts. He was telling me facts about Arnold Schwarzenegger before, and he comes out with all these amazing things, you know, and maps of the world and things like that. He's absolutely can draw a map, and he's amazing. And Joe just said, I reckon the kids in work would love it. And I think for you to be in front of all the kids and you're just like reeling things off, I think we'll sort something out for that. I think that'll be an amazing little day.
Honestly, I'll be there in a heartbeat.
So
I think you'd have a ball as well. I think you'd have an absolute ball with them, you know, with the things that they come back with and stuff.
I would, because it's only factual. Yeah.
Uncle Ron's on today. And the other thing I wanted to say, so from personal experience, if anyone's running an event, a gala dinner, a fundraiser, you're such a great person to have, because it's something really different, and you can just go around table to table, can't you? You know, and it's very entertaining. Yeah, and it's such a skill you've got there as well.
So my uncle Ron's listening in, and he says, just like Leslie Welsh, the memory man.
Oh, Leslie Welsh. Well, Leslie Welsh, funny to mention him. He was born in 1907, Leslie Welsh, and he was known as the memory man, and he was brilliant. He was born on the 29th of December that year, and he lived until 8th of February 1980. In 1963, he was at the height of his fame. And literally millions of people would tune into the radios, because no one had a TV really then. And he would talk from memory about 37 different sports. That was his main thing he spoke about.
That's Alan.
I thought, the 37, you know, but that's what he did. But in real detail, who scored what when. So he would probably know about the England-Uruguay connection. If he doesn't, I'll tell him in the afterlife, you know.
He does now, yeah.
And that's what he did. So I do very different things, but the same, you know. It's all from memory, like, you know. But that's what his focus was on. And I remember watching the 39 Steps, one of my favourite films, particularly one with Robert Powell, since he's from Liverpool, of course. And in the earliest one, Robert Donay was in, and the memory man was there, and he got shot on stage, but someone shouted to him, when did Florence Nightingale die? And I shouted, 13th of August 1910.
Amazing.
You know?
Amazing.
Yeah,
so
that's
Craig
what his
K is
was.
Amazing. Craig K is listening in, and he said he's watching from Cleves Hill.
Hi, Craig.
Yeah. So brilliant. So we do have a little format, and I think we could have you on for about 43 weeks, couldn't we? You know what I mean? Learning because the facts that you're coming out with are just amazing, and it's super, super interesting. It's brilliant.
It's wonderful, and it gives me, you know, go on. As
well, and you know, like learning things, and you know, keeping your brain active, and there are ways of keeping your brain active, isn't there? You know, as we were talking before we came on air, of like learning things and stuff. You're just keeping your brain active, and you know, languages, we were talking about it, San, where, you know, learning a language can stave off dementia, and learning to dance, you know, learning dance steps, because it's using your brain and the memory of the and for you to be a dancer and, you know, with using your memory as well is phenomenal, you know, because you can remember the dance steps and the facts that go with it. So, so red face, San. So amazing. Thank you so much. But we've got to quickly whiz on. Red face, anything embarrassing happened to you that people can laugh with, not at?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, yes, yes.
Totally underestimated him.
Yeah, well, you usually, as a child, living in Kirkdale, and you didn't have bathrooms or anything then. If you wanted a shower or a bath, you went to the washing baths on Westminster Road. So I'm in there, and it jumped in the bath, and I thought this cord was going to turn the light off, and I pulled it, and the alarm went off. The door flew open, 2 women come running in and dragged me out the bath. Well, that was the most embarrassing thing ever. And there's another one similar to that. I was 10 years old. I'd actually been in a road accident, and I was in hospital, Alder Hay. Next day, I woke up, come around, I'm lying there in the bed, all this face out here and everything, and I'm stark naked, 10 years old. The nurse runs up and she says, "Have you got any pajamas on?" And whipped the cover off to see. Like, what? And I couldn't even move. I was like, those 2 things stand out in my mind forever. You know, plenty of reasons, sure. But those 2 really stand out. In fact, funnily enough, that sort of in the family, I'm one of 9 children, and the others all say that when he got run over, the bump on the head must have done this to you. So that's the kind of, puts the fun in there.
Amazing. No, I'm quite cool, mate. I think I've been all right,
No, I'm all right. I don't want to really discuss mine this week, actually. I did.
Okay, we'll keep that.
Let's move
We'll
on.
Talk about that tomorrow. Okay. Shout out to the grown-ups. Any grown-ups who've done amazing things this week. So any big people in your life. So Wild Humphrey, we were talking before about, was it your nephew?
My nephew, yes. My nephew, Craig, he does a lot raising money for cancer. And it was a couple of years ago now, we climbed K2. And he raised a fortune. He's carried this shark all the way up to the top, a toy one, Yeah. When you think about oceans and mountains, he took the shark with him. And the thing about the shark, he took her all the way to the top and got this photo. And the shark's name was Bruce. I said, "You know where the name Bruce comes from?" I said, "Jaws." Because Jaws, the shark's name by the crew, they called it Bruce. And that's a fact.
I didn't know.
So he does a lot of money raising. He's a mad cyclist, cycles all over the God knows why, and raises money doing that. He's done all kinds. He's doing something on YouTube for him. Brilliant.
Well done, Craig. Amazing. What about you, Sana? Any grown-ups for you?
It might be the same one you're going to say. I don't know. I'd like to give a shout out to our young person, Jack, who started on Monday. Who's just stays. We've taken a young lad on to do all the social media and everything with our businesses, and he's just fab. So he's just got such a positive attitude, and we're so pleased. So shout out to young Jack.
Yeah, and I was going to shout out to Becky and Jack, and Emmett. Emmett, he's a young person, so we'll put him in the grown-ups bit because he's proved himself as a grown-up, and to Beth as well. So the 4 of them were in today, and it was just amazing just to see these young people who've been given a chance to flourish, and they're just working together as a great little team. It was the first day they'd all been in together, and sometimes you can get to be a little bit nervous, can't you? Know what I mean? And pecking order and all that, and it wasn't. It was just they were all great, and we had cups of tea and everything. And it was just lovely. And Craig's saying he's on. That's where he is now. He's on his bike on the top of Cleves Hill. So he's listening in at the top of the hill. So well done. So very, very quickly, positive challenge. What are you going to challenge people to do? Wild Humphrey.
You mean people listening?
Yeah.
I want to challenge people to learn something new. But it's easy. You just got to put your focus in there. So, right, I want to learn something. It might be, I don't know, the last 10 presidents, or the last 10 kings and queens, or something like that, or the last 10 Grand National winners. 10's a great place to start. I do 90 odd, but I've got to.
Yeah.
And the good thing about what I do, I never know where I'm going to be asked.
Yes.
So I can't say, like comedians have so many jokes, and I mean, I'm not knocking them at all, but they have a set routine. The magicians, they have so many tricks. I have thousands, and I just never know what's going to come at me next, which is wonderful because it keeps me right on my toes.
It does. It does. It does.
Yeah.
So we've actually come to a close, and it's been amazing. And you're going to be my phone a friend on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for when I'm on it, and we'll go off on the money.
Well, you know what I told you that? Sorry, you know what I told you when Google was founded, the 4th of September, 98? On that very same day was the first ever millionaire.
Ah, there you go.
That's when it started.
We do our closing by a quote, and you told us your quote. So we're going to close the show. I'm going to say a massive thank you to Sandra, a massive thank you to you, Wild Humphrey, for giving your time up with us tonight. You've been amazing. And if you'd like to close the show with your closing quote, that'd be amazing.
Oh, thank you. Would you like to do that? My quote that I live my life by is, you never know when you're going to do anything for the last time. You never know. So whatever you do, enjoy it. That's a fact.
Oh, thank you so much. And we'll see everybody next week.
Thank you. And you so much.